You're listening to Happy Voicing. I'm joined with a very special guest today, someone who you might recognize and love their work. Whether it's from Genshin Impact, Borderlands 4, or Phineas and Ferb, here's Sara Secora. All right, I've got a very special guest today. You've heard them on Genshin Impact, and I am so lucky, and I'm so absolutely thrilled to have you here. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Sara Secora. I've been a voice actor for 12 years. And yeah, I did Junior Zod and Sonnet and Genshin. I've been in Final Fantasy VII, Fallout 76, Warframe. I got to do a small little part on Phineas and Ferb recently, which was really cool.
Oh, fun.
And yeah, I've just been kind of doing the video games, animation, and commercial stuff for a while
Yeah,
now.
cool. So to begin, what does being a voice actor mean to you?
Oh goodness. Well, for me, it's a little different than I would say maybe some others, some of my peers. For me, it's kind of like a freedom,
Yeah.
because of the fact that I'm homebound disabled. I'm very confined to my home, and it's kind of like a little bit like a portal for me to go into other worlds and kind of like almost like virtually travel and
Yeah.
get to experience more of things. So it's very special in that regard for me. It kind of gives me just like obviously purpose and a career and all that, but it just gives me a little sense of adventure as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so wonderful. I mean, being able to uh enter these like either fantasy worlds or just informational worlds, whether it comes from like commercials or whatever, just being able to like embody something and like
Yeah.
see how like you would interact within this world is just it's absolutely amazing and I love that. So when you started your voice acting journey, what was your experience in assimilating or joining the voice acting community?
It was interesting because I'm remote.
Mhm.
I didn't really have the chance to, do traditional voiceover in the sense of, you get called in, and you go into the physical studio and you get to meet everybody face to face, or you get to go to conventions and meet the fans and meet your peers. I've never really had that experience, so for me it
Mhm.
was a little bit more isolated. But through the means of the internet, I've got to meet a lot of really cool people in the industry because it is a small kind of niche community.
Yeah.
You do get a chance to like mingle a little bit more. So because of that, thankfully the internet exists. I've been able to have the experience of having like community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you picked up on any advice that truly resonated with you throughout your journey?
Um, I would say, yeah, I mean, there's a lot, but I think the thing that really helped me in particular in a big way was when I realized that like you don't have to have that crazy radio voice
Yeah,
to make it a career. Like,
absolutely.
I mean, I don't sound like anything special in particular. I just am good at the foundations of acting, the networking, and the other bits, and it's actually turned into a really cool career for me. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when you think traditionally, maybe decades back, being a voice actor meant you kind of have to have this really cool sound or be famous or whatever.
Mhm.
I just don't feel like that really, is a thing anymore. So I have students that come to me from, all walks of life, and one of their concerns is like, am I interesting enough? And I'm like,
Yeah,
that doesn't really matter. It's, are you good at your craft, or do you have like a market for yourself? And do you know how to network and talk to people and get out there? More than just like having the voice of God, they call it.
right. Absolutely. To actually divert from the questions a little bit in talking about students, this can also be a question that we can re-attack later. But regarding like your students with like classes, how's that experience like for you?
I love it. Because I also cast, direct, and
Yeah,
coach, so I do other things in the voiceover space. For me, they're all kind of like weirdly connected
yeah,
in some capacity. But yeah, I feel like it informs me as an actor better to be on all those different sides of, seeing people, remembering what it's like to start day one, and working with these people to really learn language to help them digest and understand and build bridges of understanding of their own to like get from point A to point B.
yeah.
it's very different with every person, so it's always like I'm kind of doing a puzzle, I guess. Every time I'm working with somebody, I'm trying to figure out what works for them,
Yeah.
and how they kind of understand. So that's been really cool. And then I think with casting and directing, it has strengths in its own, that helps me as an actor just kind of like understand things better and learn better ways to just be efficient, at what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next question I have is a big it's a big threat and it's really scary thinking about it. But with AI becoming more rampant and more companies attempting to convert to more AI practices, which in turn steals from human workers, what are some strategies that you practice to make sure you deliver and associate with real human voices?
So yeah, like the Nava writer is really important in the
Hmm.
pursuit of, protecting ourselves as actors. And the
Yeah,
Nava writer is a awesome group of people over at Nava. They decided to, take it upon themselves to work with lawyers to build contracts to protect, us from nefarious practices where maybe they would be like, hey, just sign over your rights as you normally would in
yeah,
perpetuity for this project. And then, yeah, I mean, if we want to use it for something else, we don't have to necessarily tell you. This kind of protects us from that
yeah,
behavior.
absolutely.
Because for the entirety of contracts in like video game spaces, for example, we've always signed over the rights in perpetuity for all usage.
Yeah,
So especially in the non-union space, it's just kind of been that way. So now it's like because this new media has come out, we never anticipated this would be a threat. And now that it is, we have to, we can't retroactively fix things, but we can going forward be more mindful with our contracts. So that's a big thing for me in particular is like
yeah.
really paying attention to the contracts. Even in the commercial space, we're seeing things like AI lifts.
Mm,
That basically means we can edit your, recording with AI if we want to like change words and stuff, which traditionally just means more work for the actor. So you're
yeah,
trying to take work, even if it's in microdoses, just like, well, we'll edit with AI. Well,
yeah,
that's a redo session, we're doing pickups. That's all, that's more money that we would normally get. So we're trying to keep the career viable.
yeah,
Um, so for me, yeah, I think that's huge. And then just like asking questions when I'm working with clients, if it's independent, like how do you feel about these things? What are your practices? What are you guys doing? And learning about like their stance on AI. And it's very easy to understand when somebody is very against it. They're usually
yeah,
very vocal about it. People who are a little bit more careful with the way they're saying it brings up red flags for me because it might be like, oh, maybe we won't use AI on the voice, but we'll use AI on the art or on the
yeah,
writing. And like, I still don't personally want to be part of that if I can
yeah,
avoid it.
absolutely.
So that's just kind of like, a lot of just watching for red flags.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so sad seeing the big span of how AI is just becoming more and more a part of our lives. And it's just I know for example, there's two games, I think by the same company, called The Finals and Arc Raiders.
Yeah.
And it's so upsetting that they used AI regarding their voices because the game itself could have been so much better. It could have been so much. And I was reading into it about how they were trying to ethically quote unquote use AI, and it's just really sad.
I think they actually went back. I could be wrong, but I
Hmm.
think they went back in Arc Nights and actually recorded people.
Oh, okay, cool.
I think they were pressured into it, which is honestly the best thing we can do. Consumers and fans
Yeah,
pressuring the companies to do the right thing. Because
absolutely.
honestly, it's not about the right thing. In most cases, they don't care. It's
Yeah,
about money, time, whatever.
yeah,
But if the consumer, their money, has a problem with it, then they're going to listen.
yeah.
So that's
Sure.
really where the strength is. Just like with the recent Amazon dubs that happened
Oh
with
my
AI,
gosh.
and a bunch
Yeah,
of fans got really livid. Like those are the
yeah,
people that need to speak out. I mean, we
yeah.
should as actors too, but I think the people that are giving them the money have the most power.
Absolutely, absolutely. Uh, so for the next question, how can young people seeking entry into the business compete with both AI and senior talent?
I mean, time, consistency, the awareness of being careful again with like the contracts and the
Yeah.
relationships you build. It's definitely I would not want to start like me if I was like, okay, let's start now in this career with everything I know. I would be so intimidated because of those things. And because after COVID, the entire industry got a lot more saturated because a lot of on screen actors and film actors and people who have never acted before, like myself, really started gaining entry into this.
Yeah.
I had already been a practicing voice actor for many years when COVID happened, but I don't have a background in traditional acting
Yeah.
on screen or theater wise. So for me, it was, my pursuit has always been just voiceover.
Yeah.
Um, I just feel like it's a very interesting it's a very interesting thought of because I have a lot of students come to me and they're like, hey, how do I begin auditioning? Like I've been taking classes, I feel like I'm moving forward, but I want to start doing, I want to start taking this a little bit more seriously and start auditioning. But
Yeah.
then you get in this like catch 22 of you need the experience to be able to have the experience, right? You need to
Yeah.
already have it to get access to it. So you get kind of stuck in what I call the purgatory of like, how do I move forward? And that's where a lot of people get weeded out
Yeah.
because they get
Absolutely.
stuck there. And so they're like, I put all this money into my home studio and into, training for like a year, two, whatever, and now I can't get work. And it really is difficult to make it through that particular hurdle
Yeah.
because nobody, you know, the true access that you have in this industry is agencies like that. You can network on your own. I did plenty of that before I had an agency, but like the true turned it into a full-time career, making it happen, is getting that agency. And so I work with a lot of people on that in particular of getting them out of that purgatory so that they can get out there and start having access to auditions to
Yeah.
actually be able to turn this into something. And that's if without guidance, doing that on your own is very hard. I think because of the saturation, because of the removal of some of the jobs because of AI, especially the like more entry position things like
Yeah.
narration and e-learning is getting a little bit more attacked
Yeah.
by that. So it's just it's a bit of a mess. But I do think it's still possible. I think you just need a really good coach that is actively working in the area that you are learning from,
Yeah.
that can help guide you through steps and help build you a plan of action. I think it takes a whole lot of consistency, a really good perspective and mindset. You don't get bogged down by the comparison and the rejection and all that.
Yeah.
And just a positive attitude, honestly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just so like whenever like so like as a voice actor myself, being able to like try to like break into these groups or
Mhm.
being able to like try to tackle things, it's just like a lot of things that I've noticed for like me personally is like a lot of barriers come like through the concept of like monetary like decisions. And
Yeah,
like whether it's like coaching or like there's like pay to play sites and there's all these things and like it's like it's so like compact but it's also so vast at the same time
right,
that like it's so easy to get lost. So I absolutely I think those are really great words of advice in just like being able to understand how to like tackle it. um
right.
in your opinion, what preparation do you take as the most helpful for the field? So this can either be like vocal warm-ups, or this can be like, how do you get your mind into the space of whether recording an audition, recording for a project, or like cold calling through emails, or networking in general?
I think for me, because I have my disability and I also have extreme anxiety issues, that
Mhm.
a lot of it, my prepping is just getting myself mentally where I need to be.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, like getting myself ready to handle, especially video games that are like 4 hour sessions. That's really
Right.
hard on my body. So for me, I have to like just like take care of myself. So I think it's a lot of self care first.
Yeah.
Um, and just making sure, I don't like overpack my day because of that. I get drained pretty quickly. I just have to kind of like make sure I'm taking care of myself. And other than that, I mean, preparation for me is just like, I'd say less preparation and more planning.
Yeah.
I'm very heavy on planning. Like I'm going to from this time to this time do this, and from this time to this time do that. Because there are some days I'm doing upwards of like 20 auditions in a day. So I have to
Wow.
be very good at time management. So I
Yeah.
think that's a huge aspect of what I do is just like making sure that I'm like meeting my deadlines. I'm not stretching myself so thin that I can't, compete at a strong level, because if I'm just pumping out auditions, haphazardly, I don't think that's going to be very good for
Right.
me. So I'm trying to make
Absolutely.
sure I do everything in a meaningful, time management kind of way, so that I don't, sacrifice, the actual quality of something in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Regarding your journey as a voice actor, has there been a role or has there been like a project that has been really rewarding to you?
I mean, so many of them, but I would
Yeah.
say Junior Zod, obviously,
Mhm.
because she is a disabled character,
Yeah.
you know, and she's terminally ill. And it was really important to me to be able to represent that, because she even had lines that one for one correlate with what I'm dealing with. So
Right.
even though I'm not terminally ill, there was some similarities in her perspective.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And completely accidental. They did not know that I was disabled. So when I had told them in the booth, like, at this point I don't even need to act, I can just say this from the heart and I mean it, and they were like all very moved by that personal experience that I felt with her.
Yeah.
I would say also, oh, honestly, I've been loving my commercial work. I've been working with like Metro by T-Mobile for like 3 years now, and I
Wow.
and I really love that. They're just a fantastic client to work with, and I've gotten to do a lot of really fun stuff, even like a little Super Bowl commercial previous, not this year, but last year, which was a lot of fun. And I just appreciate them as a whole, and just like how they've been with me in particular.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I mean, there's a movie that I got a Sovasa nomination for that
Oh.
for me it was really cool, because I was up against like all these elemental movie actors, and then I
Yeah.
was also up against Ice Cube, which is just hilarious to me. I'm like,
Right.
they're like Ice Cube, and then they say my name, and I'm like, that is the most surreal feeling I've ever had. So that was really cool, to be up there, because that's like one of the, I guess, more featured
Yeah.
nominations of the award show. So like that was my first nomination I've ever gotten. And so
Wow.
I was like, what a start of nominations for me. I didn't win, obviously, didn't even expect to be nominated, but it was
Yeah.
very cool. It was like my first lead role in a movie.
Yeah.
And I got to be like a blue space cat alien warrior guy. He's really
Interesting.
funny.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Um, so that was a really awesome experience for me. And yeah, I would say those things probably, I mean, there's so much, right? I love just getting to be part of this industry. It's all
Yeah.
rewarding to me. But
Absolutely.
I think those like really stand out to me as like wow moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I know as like a fan of your work, and like whenever I was playing through that storyline within Genshin Impact, for example, I remember like that was one of the first moments that like I looked over and like I genuinely like because like whenever you enter like games like a gotcha games where there's like a big
Yeah.
gambling aspect, it's so easy to just look over and just like see it like almost as like monotonous, even though like the performances are fantastic.
Hmm.
And I remember for yours, I was actually like, I had like a video going on in the background, and then your character showed up, and like immediately from the get go, I was like, hold on, let me stop the video that's going on, and let me actually like pay attention. And I remember, I think that was like the first time in like my playthrough of Genshin that like I actually like teared up. And it was just like
Aw.
it was so you did absolutely fantastic. So it makes complete sense why especially with regarding your personal background on how like that would have been rewarding to you, but also how it's like almost like a sense of like deja vu. Um
Yeah.
but that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Uh
and I mean, I have to give credit to the directors and the
yeah.
writers and everybody that was in the room, because it was a collaborative experience. A lot of the times actors get upset with like a direction a character went. For example,
Mhm.
Sonnet was a very polarizing response to people had to her, which is one of the moon goddesses in Genshin who I
Yeah.
voiced. She sounds incredibly young. That was what they asked for. That's what they wanted, and I just remembered. reading a bunch of comments that people didn't like that, but some people loved it. There was
Yeah,
like a weird love hate with her.
absolutely.
And then when people found out that I was also Junior Zod, they seemed to sway more towards the like,
Nah,
just
I
because of
see.
Junior Zod. But I find it interesting because I had Junior Zod as a character first, and people like universally loved her, and I get
Yeah,
so much praise for her, and it's such a special experience for me, and I really really appreciate it.
yeah,
And with Sonnet, because it was so polarizing, people loving and hating it. It was just an interesting experience seeing both sides of like, oh, so this is what it feels like when people love my character and when they hate my character.
yeah,
But it all comes down to it's a collaborative experience in the room. The actor doesn't come in and dictate everything, right? We don't decide everything. In fact, sometimes we don't even know what we're gonna be recording for that
right.
day. So,
Absolutely.
we work with what we have, and I feel like there's just a common discussion online of like, everything is thrown on the actor's decision, but it's a whole room deciding,
Yeah,
right? So I feel like, I personally love Sonnet. I don't regret what we did. I can see why people were thrown off just because of her physical age,
yeah,
and also the sound. But she was a very fun character, and I love her. So I
yeah,
don't have any personal problem with it. But it's just a really interesting experience seeing both sides.
absolutely.
I'm
I,
like,
that's
oh, okay, so that's what that's like.
right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it's cool working with all these people in the room, and seeing this character come to life, and getting to have them, all these different people in the room have different opinions of things too.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like you do many many takes, and then you go, oh, that's the one they picked. You don't even know when
yeah,
you're in the room like what they're picking.
right.
But so it's so cool seeing it come to life for me
Absolutely.
in particular.
Absolutely. So we just have two final questions. First and foremost, is there any work, roles, or classes that you would like to share for any aspiring voice actors? I understand, as we were talking a little bit earlier, that you do teach a class. So, like, where can people access
Yeah.
that information?
Yeah, I do. Sorry, I'm having
You're fine.
my fun sickness right now.
Yeah,
For me, I like teaching on my website, so I do personal like one-on-ones. You can spend like an hour and a half hour with me, and we can
yeah,
just work on your goals and where you're at, and we can figure everything out together. I also do workshops where it's like group classes.
yeah,
I've been doing these like workout groups where it's like a whole month of like one day a week we get together and we work on this stuff together as a group. I have those paused just because I'm currently working as a professor at a college teaching voiceover, so that's taking a
yeah.
lot of my time.
Wow.
But once that's over, I will go back to doing that. But I do like doing workshops as well because I feel like the environment, the collaborative feel, and being more consistent with people. So it's not just like see you for 3 hours, goodbye.
Right.
I want to be more consistent with people so we can actually work on growth. So those things have been really fun for me in particular. And I feel like they're very beneficial to different stages of people depending on what they're looking for.
Right.
Um, I also teach at some other places. I recently taught virtually for Universal. I'm teaching
Ooh.
literally today at Red Scythe, and
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of go all over the place with my
Absolutely.
workshops.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure listeners will be able to like keep an eye on that and be able to like because it's an absolute treasure to be able to talk with you.
Thank you.
And like it's your work is so fantastic and it's so inspiring. So I think it's a great opportunity. And I know I'm personally gonna look for classes and look for workshops. Uh, and as a final question that we have, if you were to give a younger you a bit of advice from the experience that you've garnered all the way up until this point regarding your voice acting journey, what would you say to them?
It's gonna be okay. You're gonna
Yeah,
figure it out. Don't worry. I'm a warrior by just
yeah,
default, but like, wow, that there were so many points where I was like at the door of giving up. Like,
yeah,
there's so many points. So I'm very thankful that I didn't. I'm very thankful for all the opportunities that kept me there. And because at the beginning, remote wasn't really a thing for 12 years ago,
yeah,
so I just kept getting told you can't, it won't work, it won't happen, and I
yeah,
kind of accepted that at one point and just kind of was like, yeah, well, I guess I just never will turn this into a full career, and I'm so thankful that that's not the case. But
yeah,
yeah, I would just comfort myself, I think.
yeah. That's so wonderful. Well, thank you so much for providing your voice and talking about all things voiceover.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Happy Voicing. I hope you enjoyed it, and remember, whether you're starting out or experienced, break a leg and happy voicing.